Welcome again to another episode of Elections 101 Cameroon, and this is brought to you by Local Youth Corner Cameroon in collaboration with the Ministry of Youth Affairs and Civic Education. This is sponsored by the National Endowment for Democracy (NED). Today's episode, we're talking about the importance of peaceful communications before, during, and after elections. Why is peaceful communications so important for mass consumers and mass communicators? We have with us here publisher of Newswatch newspaper, Ndi Eugene, and he's going to be telling us why it is important for us to be able to participate in elections communications peacefully and what it means to our youth. Welcome, Mr. Ndi Eugene.
Thank you very much for having me, Ngufaka. It's a pleasure to be at Local Youth Corner to talk about this very important topic that has to do with elections communication.
Thank you for honoring our invitation.
It's
So I've been
pleasure.
following, thank you. So I've been following the conversations online and with the newspaper that you've been publishing. You've been reporting about elections since January.
Yeah.
So why is it important for us to participate in peaceful communication?
Thank you very much. I think communicators in general form a very vital part of the electoral process. For us to have a free, fair, acceptable, transparent electoral process, communicators have a major role to play. That is, they are the ones who, go out there to tell the electors that, okay, these are the people who want your votes, these are the people who want your votes, and this is what the people are proposing for you. All right? Mm-hmm. And they now, through that, the people who are going to vote are informed, and then they can better make their choices amongst candidates, especially in a multi-candidate election like the one that we have. So to do this and to ensure that this is actually acceptable by the population, by the voters, we need to be very, very professional in such a way that we communicate ethically, we communicate in a balanced manner, we are not biased, we try to avoid hate language, we try to only inform and educate the voters that, look, these are the people, this is what they are proposing, this is what the law says, these are the legal requirements, this is what we want, this is what we should do, this is on the day of voting, this is what we should do, during campaigns, this is what is happening. So you do all that and let people know that if the choice is theirs, the choice remains that of the voters. So when you do this, avoiding any inflammatory language, avoiding to, say things that are not justified, be biased against other candidates, you will contribute to a fair and transparent electoral process.
Thank you very much for that feedback, Mr. Eugene. So as an ancient conventional reporter, how do you manage the new media, social media, Facebook, Twitter, or the website as well, in order to keep up with the pace in which most youths nowadays use as communication tools?
I want to say that that's a very good question. The new media has come with its advantages and its disadvantages. Let me talk about the advantages. With the new media, for instance, it is easier to reach a majority of people within a very short time. For instance, if you are using, say, Facebook or say Twitter or say WhatsApp, you are going to reach people immediately in real time with the information that you want to give out there. But another way that it is not very advisable is because it is difficult to control who is saying what. With the social media, for instance, everybody becomes a journalist, and then they just put anything on the social media and it goes viral. And electors just want to hear. And when they hear, they can just take action, right? Without necessarily asking questions, because actually they are not trained to hear and ask questions like journalists. So it's challenging to deal with the social media, but when you make it a duty to give the right information, correct information, balanced information, you will attract the audience to you, and you become a voice that they will look up to, which So much so that if something appears on the social media, they will ask if you have said it or what have you said. All right. So as journalists, when you stay balanced, when you are unbiased, you report just the news, you educate, like you say, okay, this is what is going to happen the next day as the electoral program is going, this is what has to happen, this is what has to happen. Then if somebody were to come on the social media to say something, maybe use some inflammatory language, like maybe calling for some uprising, calling for people to revolt, they will ask, the people who follow the social media, who you have gained their trust, will now ask, but what is he saying? So you see, they will come to your page, then they will verify there. And if you haven't said it, you will become that voice that they depend on. And that is how you are contributing to the peaceful process.
So if I get you correctly, the most important thing is for you to build credibility.
Be credible. Okay. Building that credibility means that you build confidence both with the candidates, those seeking office, and those who votes are being sought after by the candidates. Because there is a lot out there that candidates can say that can be manipulated. And if a candidate says something and realizes you have also gone for the manipulation, there is a tendency that that candidate will not trust you when he or she wants to give out information. But when you take information and treat it in a very unbiased manner, just for the electors to know that, look, this is what candidate A is saying, this is what candidate B is saying, this is what candidate C is saying, and then you allow them, you just educate, inform them, then you allow them to look at what you have said, then they make their choices. And if you do that, you gain confidence on both sides, then you become credible and you are a voice to reckon with, and then you are contributing to a peaceful electoral process.
Okay, you have emphasized a lot on not being biased and being balanced in communication.
Yeah.
So if you are, as consumers of information,
yes,
how do you marry two opposing ideas? How should the audience be able to decipher that, okay, this is what person A is saying, this is what person B is saying, but this is what I may go for? How should people approach opposing ideas?
Very important, very important. It depends on, here we will talk more about packaging, and the packaging here we are talking framing. What is candidate B proposing that candidate A is not proposing? First, you need as a candidate to know the needs of the people, all right? You don't go to, say, Lewo or to Watt, and then you start saying, I want to build, I'm going to build, I don't know what kind of airspace, something in the air. That won't, they will not understand what you are talking about.
Okay.
A woman in Lewo or a man, an old man in Watt, will want to know, how do I transport my produce from the market, from the farm to the market?
Correct.
And will I have people to come and buy? Will I come one day and then put on electricity because I voted somebody? But if you come and start telling them international policy principles and all, you have to break them so that they understand. These are still development issues, but you need to put it in the way that they understand.
Okay.
If you don't package it well, unfortunately, it will not work for you.
Okay. So, if I understand you correctly, when it comes to youths and opposing ideas between different political parties or different political views, you should be able to understand what is the benefit and what you stand to gain from this in order to make a conscious decision about what you want and what you're going for.
Exactly. Okay. Young people will need to see their interest in your manifesto. You don't come with a manifesto and you are talking to young people when they don't know what they are going to, they stand to benefit. Education, you are not saying anything. Employment, you are not saying anything. I mean, those are the things the young people need at the moment. Okay. They want jobs, they want education. So if you come and you start telling them abstracts, you will not think that they will understand. You may have them, you may have these points, the education and the employment, but you put it in a way that they will not easily understand. Okay. Some of the candidates will have all of this, but packaging matters. It is now the role of the journalist to now sieve the information, then make it palatable to the audience. Like you bring 25-page manifesto, like one of the candidates, I won't call names, brought a 25-page manifesto, writing very well, big grammar. But if you don't have somebody who will actually dissect it and then summarize it and let people know what you are saying, it will be for nothing.
Okay.
Yes. So the role of the journalist is to take that information, then make it more understandable to the audience so that they can actually get it and then make their choices. But you go to them, tell them this is the candidate A, this is candidate B, this is candidate C, this is what they're proposing, this is what they're proposing. But you don't tell them that vote for any of them.
Okay.
They have the choice to make.
Very important. No making decisions for people. You just give the news as it is without being biased.
Yes.
So before I let you go, how can youth participate or practice peaceful communication in our everyday life?
Very important. And this is a very, very good question because the youths are always the ones that are targeted either for when things are not going right or when things, because they know that when you get through the youth, they agitate a lot and so on. So youth should be those people who have that message, the peaceful message among their peers. You know, in an election, everybody matters, all right? Mm-hmm. It is not only because you are a journalist and so on. Whatever you say matters because you don't know your cycles. When you go for youth football tournaments, for instance, you see how youth are engaged. You understand? When you go for any sporting event, you see how youth are engaged, which means that through such activities, youth can amongst themselves, they can educate themselves or they can use such opportunities, to share constructive ideas about elections, not only about, candidate this is this, candidate this is this. No, it is not. It's not about candidate this. What is the candidate offering?
Okay.
What is the candidate offering? If the candidate is offering education, water, hygiene, sanitation, jobs, and so on, that is the good candidate to vote. Mm-hmm. All right? Youth should be able to decipher what a candidate is saying. And youth should avoid being led by those who spread hate language, because there is a lot of propaganda. During this kind of period, there's a lot of propaganda, and some youths easily fall for. So we as young people, we should be able to stay away from such propaganda. It won't help. We don't have two countries, all right? We cannot destroy a country just because somebody has said, and which is not maybe factual. Youth should be able to decipher what is propaganda and then what is a message, and let's build and not destroy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Andy Eugene, for honoring our invitation and sharing us some of these insights on how we can peacefully communicate during this electoral process.
The pleasure is mine.
And there you have it. On today's episode, we're focusing on peaceful communication during, before, and after elections. The essence is to communicate effectively and not just communicate. Make sure that the intended audience get your message the way that you wanted them to understand it. I've been Gufak Temgwa, and see you on the next episode.